Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey there, and welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. This is episode 218 with Garrett Grover of Rise Armament, and we discuss how competitive shooting helped him make the transition back to civilian life after serving as a sniper in Afghanistan during the deadliest summer of the war. This podcast is brought to you by IWI. I just got done running a match, the Big Bend Blast and Dash. This was a 5K run and gun that you've heard me talk about on the podcast before. And we set up for this match several days in advance, and unfortunately, with all the work that we had to do, I just didn't find the time to transfer my Vortex Razor over to my lightweight gun that I was going to use for the match. So what did I have with me? I had my IWI Galil Ace already set up and zeroed and everything from shooting it at the Red October Kalashnikov Championship. So the distant arm stock I have on that and the Midwest handguard already had QDs, so I just put my sling on that guy, and I ran the Galil in the match. Now, if you're new to running gun, I wouldn't recommend running with a 10-pound rifle. It's quite heavy to carry for the duration of the match. However, I knew it was zeroed, so that was what I went with, and I was so pumped that I cleaned the long range stage. We had targets at 350 and 400 yards, and I'd never shot this rifle past 180 yards like we did at the Red October Kalashnikov Championship, but I was able to get first-round hits on those targets, and the holds were not that much different than my normal three-gun rifle. I just held a little bit higher. So, can the IWI Galil Ace shoot? Yes, it can shoot. Can it shoot long distance? Yeah, absolutely it can shoot. Runs every time, too. Just probably don't run with it. You can check out IWI's Galil Ace as well as their other product offerings at iwi.us. This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman from the Three Gun Show, and I've got Josh Tanner here with Team Breda, and we've got a shotgun tech tip for you. Josh, what do you got?
All right, today we're going to talk about point of aim, point of impact change on a shotgun when you run a lot of rounds down through the gun. So on a long shotgun stage where you've shot a lot of birdshot, the barrel will heat at a different rate than the ribs do, which can start to affect the point of aim, point of impact versus a cold gun. Now, I found that to be much less of an issue with these Breda shotguns, I think due to their barrel manufacturing process, but it's still important to go out and warm your shotgun up really, really hot, shoot a lot of rounds through it, and check and see what that point of aim, point of impact is different with a warm gun versus a cold gun.
All right, thanks, Josh. That's your shotgun tech tip from Breda Shotguns. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at bredausa.com. That's BREDA. Thank you for joining me here on the Three Gun Show, the world's largest three-gun podcast. This show is purpose-built for you to learn about practical shooting while you're on your commute, at the gym, at work, walking the dog, wherever you find yourself listening to what I'm saying right now. Every single Wednesday, there's a new episode waiting for you to download, listen to, and learn about competitive shooting. Help spread the word about the Three Gun Show. Make sure to tell a friend. And find that new guy on the range, the one that seems like super enthusiastic but doesn't know what he's doing. This show will help everyone to get up to speed quickly. And share the post on social media. Text a buddy if one of the episodes speaks to you. And let's get more like-minded individuals listening to the show, learning with us, and growing the sport, as we all say that we want to do. Now on to this week's show. Garrett Grover of Rise Armament is on the podcast this week, and while we do discuss the details of what he does at Rise and how the company is growing in what many consider a bear market for firearms, the meat of our topic is how competitive shooting helped Garrett with his transition back to civilian life when he came back from Afghanistan. Garrett really opens up here, talking about the friends that he lost, how much his fellow soldiers meant to him, and what the dynamic is like when you're in war. This was a very touching interview, and it really helped me as someone who has never served to understand the camaraderie that folks who protect our nation feel for one another and how that transition back to civilian life can be very challenging. Garrett credits competitive shooting with giving him purpose and helping with that transition. So listen and learn how you can help yourself or someone you love to make that transition as well. All this and more in the Three Gun Show's interview with Garrett Grover. Garrett, welcome to the Three Gun Show.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks.
It's good to have you back, man. So this is kind of like a follow-up to just a brief discussion that we had on the Three Gun Show, the Jeff Kirkwald Memorial Match live show that we did just a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And I knew after the chat we had on the show and a little bit after that we had to have you back on for a deeper interview and a little more about Garrett as a man. So here we are.
Oh, boy, that's scary.
I know. I'm a little nervous myself, man. I'm not going to lie. Well, so to set the stage for the audience, we are in Bellevue, Washington, and we're at TriggerCon for 2018.
Yep.
And this is my first time at TriggerCon, and for folks that don't know, this is it's a consumer show, right? So we have a lot of vendors, the cool vendors, as I've noticed as I've been walking around in a convention hall, and last couple days has been like an industry sort of thing. We had a range day for industry and VIPs. Then we had an industry day for the show. And then today, which is Saturday, and tomorrow, Sunday, is open to the public.
Yep.
Right. And this is a unique format because usually shows you go to, it's like either consumer or industry. Right. And by industry, it's like, manufacturers getting together with distributors and vendors and making deals and stuff like that. So this is kind of a unique format. Have you been to TriggerCon before?
I have not. I've done SHOT Show a couple of times and the NRA show.
What do you think so far?
I really like it. It's like, so you could probably fit 20 TriggerCons in NRA, and you could probably fit 10 NRAs in SHOT Show. So it's pretty small, but it's kind of like it's all the places that I want to go see.
Yeah.
All compressed down, so I don't have to walk past all the guys trying to sell me airsoft guns, and I could look over and be like, yeah, there's Vortex. I'm going to go say hi to my buddies at Vortex. I'll be back in 2 minutes, rather than having to like pack a bag and go on an excursion, to go see all the people I want to see. So it's really, really cool. I like these shows that are open to the public, like NRA and this one, because I really like talking to the people who use our products on a regular basis. It's great talking to dealers and distributors and other manufacturers, and that's awesome, and I really enjoy that, and there's a lot of opportunities that present themselves there. But getting feedback from the people who are, pulling our triggers, shooting our barrels, whatever, on a regular basis is really helpful for my role, in my job, and it's just nice to hear. And sometimes we hear something that we don't want to hear, and then it's like, hey, I need to look into that a little bit more, and maybe there's room for an improvement or something,
Yeah, it's cool to get that direct feedback from the end user.
Absolutely.
And then you can use that for, product development, new products, or, feedback for your engineering team, your marketing team, et cetera.
Yep, absolutely. When someone comes up to our table, the first thing I, say, hey, how's it going? And then, are you familiar with our products? And I was actually a little shocked at how many people were in this area were like, oh, yeah, no, I've got 6 of your triggers already.
Oh, nice.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
I kind of figured nobody would know who we were up here, but I was wrong. A lot of people do, but still there's some people that are, no, tell me about it. And so then, get to talk.
Well, you've spent some time personally up here in the Pacific Northwest. So this is the second time that I've been to Washington. And the first time I've been up here professionally. Last time was for a family trip or something like that. So it's interesting to see the shooters, the faces, and the companies that are dedicated almost to this area. But on the same token, like you're from Oklahoma, Rise Armament, which we're going to talk about in a moment. You work for us from Oklahoma. We've got Double Star that's like from Kentucky, and Vortex from Madison, Wisconsin. Like there's places all over the place that came here.
Yep.
But there is a large portion of the people that are at TriggerCon that are from the Pacific Northwest, like Oregon, Washington, Idaho, etc.
Yeah,
I mean, Idaho's getting, I guess, in the West, but it's cool to see that culture. You know, I love traveling around and seeing like the different microcultures of firearms and competitive shooting around the country.
Right. It's like when we were in Minnesota
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, you know, everything was JP and Obsidian.
Yeah.
And now we're over here and everybody's
Fortis
shooting.
and Rainier.
Yeah, right. It's really cool, but you know, and there's still some overlap because JP is here too. I think. Did I see their booth?
Yeah, JP's here. Hyperfire's here.
Yeah. I got to hang out with Ben from Hyperfire a little bit. I sure do like that guy.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's cool. He's hilarious.
Yeah, but and I was telling you before the show, I got that picture, and I'll just tell everybody else. I thought it was pretty cool, that picture with me and Ben and the British guy from CMC, and we all got a picture together just to
3 trigger companies right in a row.
Yeah, just to kind of show some unity in the industry.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
but,
and that seems to be like the atmosphere here too. Like SHOT Show, you know, everything's so spread out, and there's so many different companies in between everything that it's like, you know, it appears to be, and it's not, but it appears to be like the Vortex camp is over here, the Loophole camp's over here, or the Mossberg camp's over here, or the Benelli camp's over here, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like everything's so segmented where this is like it's tighter, right? You know, there's less space in between everything. Like you said, you can navigate the whole show in just a few minutes, and it's cool.
And then all the stuff that's happening after the show's over.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody packs their stuff up and leaves, they've got all these events like that thing we went to last night.
Yep.
That dinner, that was really cool. And
yeah, so to fill in the audience in on that one, it was a VIP party, right? Sweet, it was pretty good barbecue that you can find outside of Texas. I'm a little partial on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was acceptable. It wasn't bad.
And it was at an exotic car rental place. So they had like a Ferrari Testarossa in the you know, like old school cool in the showroom. Outside they had the Audi R8. There was a V10. They had a Mercedes-Benz AMG something or other. I always forget what the heck it's called.
Yeah, I'm not a car guy, so I don't know.
Oh my god. So trust me, it was cool.
Yeah, they were nice. I was like, oh, that's a cool car. Oh, the doors open up instead of out like normal doors.
Yeah.
It must be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you always can tell when the doors go up that adds $100,000 to the price of the car.
Yep.
Yeah, and they had like a Lamborghini. I think it was an Aventador convertible. The AMG Mercedes thingy that's like the SUV boxy looking thing.
They had a really sweet Humvee.
Yeah, Humvee too. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of cool cars there, but they cleared out a lot of them to have space for all the people. Closed down the parking lot, had music and stuff like that. You know, drinks and food. It was pretty cool. Cigars, yeah. There was like a cigar bar kind of thing.
So funny. The funniest thing about the night last night was after I'd had a couple beers, I kind of went looking for the men's room, and I walked in. Oh, there's a ladies' room, and I go to the next one, and it had also said ladies. It was written on a piece of paper, and I was like, what the heck? Is this some kind of joke? And so I looked around, there was no men's room, and then finally this other woman was laughing at me, and I just looked at her. I said, what am I supposed to do? And she pointed me. I went out the back door, and there's a bunch of Porta-Johns out back for the guys.
I thought that was hilarious too, and it's funny because you know, we're in a male-dominated industry, right?
Right.
You could probably count the number of ladies on both hands in the place, and there's 200 dudes, and like y'all got to pee outside.
Yeah, it's as it should be, I guess.
Yeah, of course. They have different needs.
Well, and we got to keep them happy, otherwise there will be even less.
That is a fact. Yeah. So the TriggerCon environment is pretty cool, and I do like the consumer shows myself as well. It seems that people are looser, more laid back, you know. And for me, like in a passion industry, like the firearms industry, right? Like no one comes in here to make a shitload of money. They've got a love or a desire to work in the outdoor industry. To be at like the dealer shows, it's like where everything is a commodity. It seems like to take the heart out of it. So being where the consumers are, I think, is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like SHOT Show, where people are making $1 million deals.
Yeah,
it's like I got a meeting at 2:00, and from 2:00 to 241.
Exactly.
And then I have another one starting at 242, but I'm hoping that they'll sign $1 million PO
Yeah.
or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
whereas this, it's much more casual, and we're just there to, or for me anyways, and I think most companies are just there to meet their customers. And,
Sure.
and have a presence and just let the customers know how much we care about them and how much we appreciate them. And
Yeah.
hey,
NRA
come
was
on.
that way
Yeah.
too. You
Yeah.
know?
I really liked NRA. It was
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
NRA was a lot of fun. This is the first time I went to it, and it was cool because so when you go and talk to a company, like a lot of companies, they'll have like our dealer sales team and then our consumer sales team, and like the dealer sales team goes to SHOT Show, and those are the guys that are like, when you're like, well, what's the new thing you guys are trying to, that you've been advertising? Oh yeah, our social media guys did that, and they're like looking over your shoulder to talk to someone who's gonna place a PO, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Whereas NRA, they're enthusiastic about it, and they want to tell you, and they want to show you, and they want to put it in your hands, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I felt like NRA was better for networking.
Yep.
And building relationships, just because you're not on such a tight schedule, and this is even more so.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been cool.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a gorgeous area. I mean, there's giant pine trees everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's not sweltering hot like it is back home right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Hasn't rained on us yet, which is disappointing because it is a Pacific Northwest, and
I
so,
know.
I kind of wanted to get rained on. But
Somehow everything's still green.
Yeah.
There's mold everywhere.
Yeah.
Moss. It's pretty cool though. This is it's a really beautiful area to be in. So it's fun to be here. Well, we so as we do on the Three Gun Show, we kind of got off topic and right at the start here, Garrett. But let's back her up here. So let's introduce you to the audience. Who are you off the range? What do you do when you're not shooting 3-gun matches?
Well, when I'm not shooting, I work quite a bit for Rise Armament, as I think everybody knows. I'm a product specialist there, which kind of has a broad definition. They're like when I agreed to work there, they handed me a couple pages with my job description on it that says a whole bunch of stuff. But really, mostly what I do is I do a lot of product development, customer engagement. Just going out and talking to people and seeing what they want, what they like, what they don't like. What would you like to see us build? And letting people know about Rise and the products that we offer and the services that we offer and why we're a good company. I do a little bit of sales stuff, but not really. It's just, I kind of back up the sales team.
Right.
We get, a phone call about something and, I don't know. And so they come get me and I come out of my office because I don't have a phone in my office. Walk out of my office.
That's awesome. How'd you get that?
It's great. They've talked about putting one in there. I'm like, no, I don't need one. I'm good.
I don't think you can fit a phone in here.
Yeah, probably couldn't because I've got gun parts laying everywhere. I'm like a mad scientist.
That's
Every
awesome.
square inch of surface area is covered with gun parts. Is great. So, and I get to tinker a lot and just kind of figure out what's going to work and what our next project should be. Do a lot of research.
Yeah.
I scour the internet for information and make phone calls and talk to people, and that's mostly what my job is. I mean, it's pretty great.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, I went to the 3-Gun Nation Nationals, and this was 2015. It's just a couple months after I started the show, and Rise was there because it was at Tulsa.
Yep.
So I talked to one of the guys, and for the life of me, I can't remember who it was because there's been so many people I've met in between. But Rise, he told me, was a machine shop that started as like a what am I trying to say? Like a general machine shop. They did work for the oil fields. Am I correct on that?
Yes, that is correct.
And then they started building AR-15 parts for other companies, and then decided we should do this for ourselves because this is so much fun, or we're liking it so much. Tell me how much of the story I got correct on that.
So I've only been working for Rise for about a year.
Sure.
So I don't have 100% of the story, but pretty much what you said is pretty accurate. And the person you probably talked to is Chris Barger.
Okay.
Who's still, he doesn't work for Rise anymore. He and I are still good friends though. He's doing his own thing now. And if he's listening, Chris, hi. I hope to see you soon. So yeah, they started out, they bought a building that had been vacant, or a facility, a huge facility that had been, it was an old foundry, had been vacant for a while, so they got a smoking deal on it. and put in some machines and started making parts for oil and natural gas industry.
Right,
and
which is at the time was pretty booming in Oklahoma, right?
Yep. And they were also doing some aerospace stuff.
Okay.
Because Matt Torres, the president, and Brian Torres, the controlling partner, they have a background in aerospace,
Yeah.
and like Matt used to be an airline pilot and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's how we got on the topic too, because they were like, "Well, what do you do, Dave?" And at the
Yeah.
time, I was working in aerospace myself.
Yeah. So then, and my sequence might be a little off here. But
Sure.
From what I understand, they got approached by a company to, hey, will you design and build a trigger for us, an OEM trigger? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they're like, hey, that's really fun. Now let's build one of our own.
Nice.
And that's actually the red trigger, the 535, which is still like one of the best, if not the best performing trigger on the market. And it was the very first Rise branded firearm related thing that they made.
Was the trigger?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That red trigger, the one that Dylan runs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing led to another. This was probably, I guess, about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another, and now we're manufacturing almost all the parts for every gun that we sent out the doors. So right there in Broken Arrow.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And no more aerospace stuff. We still do a little bit of oil and natural gas, just kind of fill in the gaps. But that, we're getting so busy that I don't know. We've doubled our machine capacity in the last 6 months.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. So if people have not seen a Rise Armament rifle, these are not like mil-spec parts, right? It's not like what you would expect if you popped open the Eugene Stoner, history book and you looked at like a forged receiver, right?
Yeah, no.
Like these are very unique. There's machined features and everything. It's got a sweet scorpion logo.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Everybody loves that scorpion logo.
It's pretty sweet. And it's very distinctive too,
Yep.
so it sticks in your head.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, our receiver sets are 70-75 billet aluminum. Mm-hmm. We machine those right there in Broken Arrow. Our hand guards are 60-61 billet aluminum, which we also machine there. Mm-hmm. And they are our own pretty unique, distinctive design that from across the range you can be like, oh, that's a Rise gun.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, for sure.
And they are really cool. We're real proud of them. Yeah. I'm trying to think. So we do our own barrels, and if you've seen any of the groups that Dylan or I have posted online or any other people, our barrels shoot lights out. We've got a compensator that we make our RA701 comp. That's really, really effective. The Truth About Guns did a compensator review, I don't know, a couple years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, and we were one of the top ones, which was really cool because the compensator was one of the first products that Rise came out with,
right?
After the original trigger, and
yeah. So by the time this will come out, I'll have it installed on the rifle and tested, shot, and everything. But you gave me one of those to throw on the Project Galil, the IWI Galil that I'm gonna be shooting for Red October.
Yep.
So I'm totally pumped to shoot that. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the range report.
Yeah, yeah. So I've it's a 5.56. It's a 1 to 7 barrel. It's same thread pitch as an AR-15, but it's in a different package. So
yeah,
I'm hoping it'll calm that thing down a little bit.
It should. What our research has shown is about 68% reduction in recoil and 50% reduction in muzzle rise.
Okay.
On one of our guns. So
sweet.
I'm sure it won't be any different with your Galil.
Yeah.
That'll be pretty cool.
We'll see. It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to make that thing a race gun.
So what kind of trigger is in those Galils? Obviously it's not a AR drop-in trigger.
No, it's a proprietary something in there. It's not an AK and it's not a AR.
Yeah.
It's a Galil, right?
Does anybody make like a sweet aftermarket trigger for it?
So ALG makes a trigger for it, and they sent one out. But after I got it, there's some question on whether it's going to fit the 5.56 because it was made for the 7.62. So that remains to be seen. And I didn't get a chance to pull that apart before I came out here, and I don't think I'm going to do that until after Rocky Mountain. So still a couple weeks away from figuring that one out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah. When is that match again?
So that one is October. October 6th.
Cool.
October 6th and 7th, I believe. In not Tulsa. You're in Tulsa. St. George, Utah.
Oh, okay.
At Subs, yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a good time. We shot that last year. It was a kick in the pants.
I feel like I'm shooting a match that weekend. Is that
Yeah.
is that the same
Surefire.
weekend as is it Surefire or Fallen Brethren?
Surefire's that weekend. Fallen Brethren is also that weekend.
Yeah, I'm doing Fallen Brethren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, 3 big matches like on the same weekend.
Yeah, really good ones too.
Yeah, really good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Red October was so much fun. It's like the only place you can shoot an AK in like a match environment, really.
Mm.
Surefire is, a taste of every match that's out there.
Yep.
Fallen Brethren has an amazing reputation. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer they all fell on the same weekend.
It's kind of getting that way with 3-gun.
It is.
It's like there's so many awesome matches.
Yeah.
Like how do you shoot them all? Mm-hmm. You can't.
I tried.
Yeah. I'm shooting something like 17 majors this year, which is probably as much as all of my 3-gun seasons combined before this year. And,
I did that my first year, too. I went from, shooting one major ever,
Yeah.
I guess one major 3 years in a row, to shooting, I think I counted, I want to say it was 16. I want to say it was 16 in 1 year, in the first year that I did the 3-gun show traveling.
Wow.
And, yeah, dude. And that was a ton. And, you're experiencing it right now.
Yeah. My girlfriend's not real happy with me. I keep expecting to come home and all my stuff's going to be out on the front lawn, and hasn't happened yet. So hopefully she'll bear with me for the rest of the year. But,
Yeah. So I wanna talk a little bit more about Rise. So you guys were at the range day, and that was here at TriggerCon. You had some cool guns out there.
we did.
One, I guess, new thing is the 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yes.
And I probably should have asked before we started. Are we allowed to talk about that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're
Okay,
shipping
cool.
them. We've
You're shipping them.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
We're already shipping them.
Great. So that's a departure. It's something brand new for Rise and the big platform, right? You guys haven't done a.
No, we did. We released a 308 last year.
Okay.
And then we
So
released,
it's about a year old then.
we released at SHOT Show last year, so a year and a half. And we actually unveiled the 6.5 at SHOT Show this year.
Okay.
And we had it at range day. And,
I gotcha.
Dylan and I were shooting it out to 960, and we had a bunch of people shooting offhand at 960, and it kind of became this big deal where people were coming down. I heard you guys are shooting the 6.5 offhand at 960 yards. We're like, yep, get down there. And, I think everybody hit offhand, and everybody hit about 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 at 960, off the bench.
Nice.
So it's a very, very accurate rifle. We're really proud of it.
Right. And you're going to be going with Dylan and shooting a team match coming up here.
Yeah. So next weekend, shooting the Wyoming Governor's match, which I'm really excited about. The weekend after that, Dylan and I are teaming up, and we're both shooting the Rise Armament 6.5 Creedmoors with Vortex optics on top, worn mounts, just the whole gamut,
Right.
And we're going to shoot the Vortex Extreme match in Douglas, Wyoming. 7 miles, I think somewhere between 80 and 100 rounds, all as far out as like a mile.
Right.
And the match is in kind of a cool format because they do the prize table the night before the match.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so they do. I think it's a random draw. I think that's how
Okay.
they do it. But all the prizes are pretty much the same.
Mhm.
So you're not really competing for prizes anymore.
Right.
It just becomes about doing the event and camaraderie, and it kind of takes some of the stress out of it, which
Yeah.
is good because neither Dylan nor I are mountain climbers. So we're kind of counting on our motivation and good looks to get us through.
Oh, if Dylan's your partner, you're in trouble. Man.
Oh, I do. Well, he does have kind of a cute butt, I guess. Anyways, so yeah, looking forward to that. Another gun that we have kind of done a soft release on, and I hope I don't get in too much trouble for talking about it, but we're going to do an official release here in a couple weeks. But
Okay.
we have developed with input from law enforcement officers from the Pacific Coast, the Atlantic Coast, and everything in between, a rifle that was designed solely to be a patrol rifle for law enforcement officers. And it was inspired by the July 7th, 2016, the Dallas police ambush, when those Dallas cops got ambushed, and we kind of just thought about it, and we're like, man, these police officers cannot be outgunned. I mean, there's no reason why a police officer should ever be outgunned by a criminal, you know. And so we set out on this mission to design a gun that was supremely accurate, supremely dependable, that we could offer on a law enforcement officer's budget.
Right.
Because especially at smaller agencies, a lot of these cops have to buy their own guns.
Yeah.
You know,
this is not something I knew about until getting involved in the 3-gun community and, you know, playing in the dirt with a bunch of law enforcement officers, you know, like Joe Farewell in Florida. You know, it's his rifle that he's taken to work.
Yeah, right.
Which to me seems like counterintuitive, right? Because I know that a lot of departments issue pistols.
Yeah, right.
And so it seems odd to me that, you know, you got to go buy your own carbine. But you explained this to me, and it's not something I had heard before. So for you know, our civilian audience that's listening, why are police officers buying their own rifles?
A lot of times it boils down to budget.
Yeah.
You know, smaller agencies. I mean, you get the United States is like 70% rural.
Yeah.
The population. You know, and a lot of people live in towns that have a population of 1,000 or less. So there's like 4 cops. They write like 1 speeding ticket a day, and that's how much, you know, if they're lucky, and that's how much revenue the municipality generates. So they don't have the budget to purchase these guns, and so they'll authorize the officers to carry their gun if they go buy it themselves and qualify with it. It's kind of, I'm not saying that's every agency, but I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's something I hear repeated quite a bit. Is like you said, especially in rural areas.
Yep. So we came out with a gun. We are using, it's still a match grade barrel. It's our CB16 barrel with a mid-length gas system. It's a 223 Wild 1-in-7 twist 416R stainless steel fluted barrel. It's the same barrel that I shot out to 600 yards at the Missouri 3-gun championship earlier this year. Dylan and I shot out to 800 yards with it at SHOT Show, or 840 actually. With it. I mean, it's a very accurate barrel. And with it being stainless steel versus chrome lined, you have that accuracy,
right?
But you also have the durability of, not necessarily of chrome line, but much more durable than like a chrome moly barrel. But you still get the accuracy that you normally would get with a chrome moly barrel, whereas like a chrome line barrel, usually your accuracy suffers a little bit. So we developed a flash hider for it. You know, we already had the comp, but we didn't have a flash hider, and I would say, I can't remember the exact percentage, but somewhere around 70 to 75% of the officers said they'd rather have a flash hider.
Yeah.
You know, so it doesn't affect their night vision capabilities.
Yeah.
If they have to shoot it at night. So we developed a flash hider. It worked pretty good, but we were like, no, we want it to be better. So then we Gen 2, and we tested it a bunch, and we ended up with a really good flash hider. It's a 4-prong style flash hider that, you know, usually when you shoot those, you get that annoying ringing sound.
Yeah.
Ours doesn't do that.
The twang.
There's no twang on ours.
Yeah.
None. Which is cool. I mean, it's just a nice little feature. And then we actually did go with a forged receiver set, just for a little more classic appearance. And also it helps keep the cost down.
Sure.
And we were able to, I think the MSRP on that is going to be $10.99. I mean, it's got a free float rail. It's a really nice gun. Ambi safety, tack latch charging handle. It's a very, very nice gun for the money. And cops, I don't want to say it on here because I don't know the exact price, but if you call and you've got like your credentials, it's significantly less than that if you buy direct from us.
That's awesome.
So that way, you know, you can, and we're actually partnered up with Vortex too. We're going to have an add-on where you can get a Vortex Crossfire with it for quite a bit less than you could normally probably find it for. We're not trying to make any money off that. We just want to get it in the hands of officers, you know.
Well, and Vortex is a huge supporter of law enforcement too, and they offer, you know, significant discounts with credentials and through various distributors, and so it's cool to see you teaming up with you know, companies that are both supporters.
Yep.
So I got to shoot this rifle at range day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you shot it, and you shot the 315.
I did.
Which is our 3-gun rifle, or a kind of competition rifle. Yeah.
So I enjoyed the aspect of the law enforcement rifle that you have, in the fact that it's not like junk, right? And not calling any company out specifically, but a lot of times you'll see those, photos of police officers, going into, hostile environments or whatever, and they're carrying like shit. Excuse my language, but we've all decided that like the free float barrel is the best, right?
Yeah.
And we've all decided like, on a 16-inch barrel, mid-length gas is the best. And the A2 flash hider can have, it has good capabilities, been proven for a long time, but there's significant upgrades that can be made. So like you made all those upgrades, you like free floated the barrel, you did a mid-length gas system, The
extended handguard, 13.5-inch handguard, fluted the barrel to remove weight from the end. For, if you have to shoot 2 guys or whatever, 2 targets, for faster transition so you don't swing past your target, remove some weight off the barrel end of the gun.
Exactly. And it's accurate, and so it's cool to see that whole package put together in something that's dedicated specifically to, people that protect us while we sleep. So
yeah, that was the idea. So far we're already getting a lot of interest in it, and even just today we got some interest in maybe some export stuff for it. So
very cool.
We'll see. My boss doesn't even know about that yet. So
nice. You better tell him before this airs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool stuff coming out of Rise.
Yeah. It's exciting. We had a record year last year, and we've already matched last year.
Nice.
This year.
So that is in what a lot of people consider to be a down market for firearms.
Mm-hmm.
So how is Rise succeeding in, again, what people consider to be a down market for firearms?
So for me, I think it's about building personal relationships.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to use Vortex as an example again, just because I think those guys are awesome, and they've done a really good job of building relationships with their customers and building customer loyalty. First, you have to have a good product that people want. But you can make the best product in the world, and if you're a complete asshole, nobody's going to want it.
It's true.
So a lot of it is just being out there, getting to know people, getting to know your customers, shaking people's hands, getting involved in events like the Jeff Kirkwood Memorial, which we sponsored, and we're sponsoring the Wyoming Governor's Match. And another thing that we've done that has not only helped us, but has helped, like in my speech or in my presentation I did yesterday, that's helped our fellow Americans is one of kind of Rise's core values is to give back to our community. And so we partnered with Folds of Honor on a couple projects, and we've raised, I'm not sure the dollar amount, but it's pretty significant for that organization. And Folds of Honor provides scholarships for the families of fallen and wounded veterans.
Oh, great.
So, and things like that. And I think that's a big part of our success. I think people in the gun industry right now, they respect, it's not about buy a barrel and I'll give you a free compensator.
Right.
It's not about that anymore. It's about, hi, my name's Garrett. I'm the Rise Armament. Would you like to shoot my rifle?
Yeah.
Things like that. I think it just seems to be working for us.
So making those connections like one at a time.
Yeah. It's like town hall meetings and, and old school campaigning.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is almost getting back to like the old school, right? Where for a while it was just the big corporations and we bought whatever crap they churned out, right? And not necessarily in the firearms industry, just like in the market as a whole. And I see a lot more people going back to like niche sort of things. And driving around here in Bellevue, you've probably noticed that there's a shitload of Teslas around here. And while you don't necessarily know the guy who's building your Tesla, Elon Musk is like one of those images and those personalities that people see and they enjoy like the innovation and what the company stands for.
And they respect him as a person.
Yeah.
And so they want to support his
exactly.
product. Yeah. And what you said about like people going more to, back to like the niche, whatever. You see it like in the food industry even.
Yes.
Not just in the firearms, but in the food. Like,
yeah.
People are eating less fast food and going to more like
mom and pop
type places, and farmers markets are starting to become like a thing again.
We went to a place this morning for breakfast with the folks at Vortex Optics, and it's called the Waffler. And
sounds awesome.
It was amazing. their whole shtick is waffles with stuff in the middle, like a hamburger kind of thing, right?
That sounds pretty cool.
It was pretty sweet. So they're on their menu, locally sourced honey, locally sourced syrup, locally sourced berries, locally sourced chicken, and a couple of them had like what farm the item came from,
Oh, that's cool.
I went to a place for dinner with Ruben and his family when we were in Wisconsin. Ruben Alexson from Vortex, for those that don't know. And their thing is, like, you can drive within an hour and get all of our ingredients.
Wow.
Yeah, and like they know the name of the pig that you're eating, And so I think
Charlie, you're so tasty.
Yeah, Charlie, you're delicious. But I think you're right. There is like that movement for people to know like where they want a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the presentation, you guys had a video, and you have like a lot of the guys that work in your shop in that video,
mm-hmm.
and so people can see the guy who's punching the numbers in the CNC. And out comes the receiver, and out comes the handguard and stuff like that. So, and I think in this industry, it's something that Noveski did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Vortex Optics definitely doing it really well. They use a lot of their sales and their customer service people and their marketing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to walk around the floor of TriggerCon here and see the people that you see in marketing in several companies standing there like, yeah, I designed that, or I machined that, or I'm this person in this role in this company.
Yeah, it's not just some guy that's like, oh, it's my job.
Yeah.
I sell guns. No, this is the guy that designed it. This is the guy that actually was typing the numbers in on the CNC machine and pulled it off, and now he's sitting in the booth telling you about what goes into making it.
Yep. This is the person that runs the social, that responds to your direct messages and stuff like that.
Yeah,
yeah. I guess it really didn't hit me until we started talking about this, but the companies that I've connected with as the 3 Gun Show are the people that do that personal touch, right? And whereas like the large, nameless, faceless conglomerates, that are owned by megacorps, they don't really have that touch.
No, it becomes more about money and less about providing a service or a product and building relationships.
Yeah,
they're this little box is red and it needs to be green.
Yeah.
That's what they're,
Yeah. How cheap can we get these detents? Can we save 1 cent per detent?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so it becomes like commodities.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's that kind of that older, I shouldn't say older, but I don't know how to say it.
I'll say it. It's the old guard kind of way, right? It is like the big brands of Nabisco and Nestle boxing up crap and putting it on the shelf, right?
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
it's easy when you use a different industry.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't care what they think about me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Screw you, Nabisco.
Yeah. But don't stop making Triscuits because they're delicious.
They are delicious. Put some cheese on top.
Oh, man. And I'm not even hungry.
I know. I wish we had some right now.
Yeah.
We should pause and go get some Triscuits. So Garrett, if you can look forward for Rise, like say, a few years down the road, 5 years down the road, something like that, what's like the overall vision for the company? What's your goal in influencing where where Rise takes their marketing and their sales and their image?
I'd like to see us continue to grow our product line, grow our customer base, obviously. I'd like to see us be a household name in the firearms industry, not a little boutique. I want people from one coast to the other to know our name, know who we are, but still be a small company or feel small, kind of like Vortex.
Yeah.
They feel like a small company, but they're huge.
Yeah.
And I want the same thing for us. I want us to be known for quality and customer service. I mean, that's and I think if we keep going on the path we're going, that we'll get there. Continue to grow, continue to hire more people, continue to grow the industry, to get more people into the shooting lifestyle, I
Yeah.
guess, for lack of a better term. I know these are kind of generic, like broad answers, but I mean, really, I can't say that I have a pinpointed goal. I mean, we have some goals in our meeting room, of dollar amounts that we would like to achieve, on certain years and levels of employees and stuff. And we're all working towards that. But I think the bigger goal is to just continue to create a quality product and continue to see smiles on the face of our customers, honestly.
Yeah.
And continue to give back to our community. I mean, that's huge for us. We're constantly looking for ways to do that. And that's why matches like the Jeff Kirkwold Memorial Match, are the types of things we're involved with.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's great to hear. That was such a fun match and such a great cause in supporting Task Force Dagger.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And a lot of companies, including Rise, came out in a big way and really helped make that happen. The match was able to raise $20,000 for Task Force Dagger. I mean, that's incredible.
Crazy. It's more than double last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than double last year. I know Travis Vogel, one of the coordinators of the match, set out a personal goal of $20K, and we were all a little nervous about that. The staff hit it, man.
It was great.
Yeah, shooters came out in a big way. The companies came out in a big way, and made it a huge success.
So I met Travis at NRA just a few months ago.
Yeah.
And he approached me. He's like, "Hey, Garrett, I'm Travis with Vortex. I'm friends with Dylan and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, cool. It's really nice to meet you." And we got to talking, and I went, and then I walked away 20 minutes later. And I was like thinking in the back of my head, that guy's really cool.
Yeah.
And then
Travis is an interesting individual. He does that.
Yeah, he just
very personable.
So then I went back over there later that day, and by the end of the show, we were hanging out, and then I saw him again a couple weeks later in Nebraska, and went to dinner. And I was like, dude, I really like this guy. I'm really glad that he introduced himself to me, and now, I consider him to be a good friend.
Yeah.
And even though he lives, 1,000 miles away or whatever.
Yeah, it's amazing how the three-gun community does that. You create friends all over the country, and then these matches end up being like little micro reunions, right?
I see my three-gun friends more than I see my friends at home. That live a couple miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you and I were talking about doing the show, and I was trying to figure out, okay, when can we get on? We were kind of comparing schedules, right? Yeah. And I was like, well, I can't do this because I'm going to be at TriggerCon. And you're like, well, I'm going to be at TriggerCon. Like, okay, we'll do that. And then we got to talking about the Wyoming, or not the, it was the Vortex Extreme.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, you going to that? I'm like, no, I'm not going to make that one, but I'll be at the governor's match. And you're like, I'll be at the governor's match.
So I'm going to see you again here in a few days.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna
be so tired of each other.
I know, man. I'm gonna go back to Colorado. You're gonna go back to Oklahoma. Then we'll be in Cheyenne for the governor's match.
Yep.
Yeah, it is funny how that happens though, and you see the same people all over the place, And when I was younger, people always said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people repeat that in a negative way, of like maybe so-and-so has success and it's not like because they deserve it, it's because they know someone, But I think a lot of people that we know together,
mm-hmm.
Mutual friends, not going to call anyone out because I don't want to embarrass them, but they have this ability to make connections. Like, well, you would like Garrett. Garrett, you should meet Dave. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, well, you guys should talk because you have this in common or something. And then people make those connections, and then they end up sticking.
Right.
And with Three Gun, it's very similar because we have all this love of firearms, of competing, of traveling to matches and doing our best, and then the shared experience of getting through this match, right? Mm-hmm. And it ends up binding our culture and making us closer. And then, we create these relationships, and they last for years.
Yeah.
And it's periodic over like a month. You have 2 days this month and then 2 days this month. And then next year you have, and it just continues, to grow like that.
It's, and then you add in, so, I mean, what you're saying is 100% true. And then you add in like the social media aspect.
Yeah.
And modern technology where we can talk like every day.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you know, and it doesn't even require me to pick up the phone and call. You know, I mean, I can just text so and so or get on Facebook and you know, LOL on their little whatever, you know, that they just posted.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I have just met some of the coolest people shooting 3-gun that I never would have met otherwise. I mean, people that I consider now to be really, really, really good friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I have as well, and it's been amazing, and I have the blurring of work and play, you know, kind of thing, and like work and social life kind of stuff. And I always try to keep those really separate, and with, you know, select individuals that I would hang out with outside of work. But in this niche, in this industry, it's very hard because people are so cool. You want to spend a lot of time with them, you know?
It's like, hey, let's go out to dinner after spending the whole day together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had earplugs in all day. Let's go, you know, to a noisy bar and have a burger, you know? Yeah, so that camaraderie built is very unique, and it's something that you and I have discussed in the past, and I can't remember if it was during the live show or if it was shortly after, but it was the day of the live show we did for Jeff Kirkwell Memorial Match, and I want to get into that topic because so you have a military background,
Yes.
right? And my perception from interacting with people that have been in the military is that there's a large sense of teamwork and camaraderie in the military. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably an understatement. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean
Tell me more about that, because I'm a civilian and I don't have a huge background, so explain it to me.
So it's, especially if you've been to combat, I mean, it truly is a brotherhood. I mean, we all took an oath, you know, to defend the United States of America, the Constitution, all that stuff. And to defend each other, and like, especially, like I said, especially if you've been in combat. I mean, these are guys that, you know, man, I hope breakfast is good because this might be our last meal, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah, before you roll out on a mission. And it's like, high five, yeah. And for me, like, my job, I was a sniper, you know, and so I had Patrick Tippins was my partner, you know, because in the Army, snipers work in 2-man teams or 3-man teams, depending. We were in a 2-man team, and so he was like the guy that, yeah, he was responsible for me and I was responsible for him, and you know, we just built that bond, and you build that bond with all the guys that you served with, and even if you can't stand them, you're like, I would take a bullet for that person in that second. And
really?
Yeah. So so yeah, it's I kind of forgot where where the question was. I kind of got off on a tangent. So
I asked you to explain the where the camaraderie comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Because from my perspective as a civilian, like, you know, you have a conflict with someone at work, and it's like, F that guy, you know, he's dead to me, right? But you know, it's engineering, you know, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So I don't have like a context. And I know a lot of my listeners are civilians as well, so
yeah. Well, and so where does the camaraderie come from? It just comes from those shared experiences. And it's like, I mean, there were guys that I didn't like in my unit, but when we rolled out on a mission, I mean, it didn't matter. We were brothers,
right?
You know, or sisters. I mean, we had some females that rolled out with us too, you know, and there's not a single one of them I wouldn't have taken a round for if I needed to, you know, and I know they would have done the same for me, and that's just, you know, kind of how it is. Yeah,
I hear that quite frequently from people that have served, and I think it's hard to put into context for people that haven't.
Yeah, well, think of it like this: you're serving something greater than yourself,
right?
You know, and that is, you know, our nation, or what are our, you know, American values. I mean, whatever it is for you. You know, I know Patrick, he had a daughter at home, and I don't have any kids. You know, and my mission was not only to, you know, kill the bad guys or whatever, you know, whatever the mission was, but to make sure he made it home to his daughter. Right. Whatever it took, you know, that was my focus every single day. You know, that every time we rolled out on a mission, we rolled out on somewhere in the vicinity in the 13 months we were over there in 2011, 2012, 150 missions, something like that. I mean, we rolled out almost every day. was to make sure that he made it home.
Right.
Because he had a daughter.
Right.
So.
That's
and
incredible.
he was about 10 years younger than me.
So like,
so it's like I'd already lived,
I had a good run.
Yeah.
We're going to protect you here.
Yeah.
Well, so what branch were you in?
So I started my military career in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
I joined in 92. I joined the delayed entry program, which is kind of like the reserves. In 1993, I graduated high school, shipped to boot camp, did 4 years in the Marine Corps, got out. After a couple deployments to Okinawa, and I was an infantryman, which basically I'm the guy that shoots at people and gets shot at. That's what infantrymen do. Got out, joined the South Dakota National Guard, Army National Guard for a brief period, a couple of years.
Are you from South Dakota?
So I was born in New Hampshire, but I grew up in South Dakota. We moved there when I was 6.
Okay.
So then I graduated from high school in South Dakota. And so I went back, went to college for a couple of years, was in the South Dakota National Guard, moved out here to Oregon, got out of the Guard, moved here to Oregon, moved to Oklahoma in 2000, I don't know, somewhere in there I joined the Oklahoma National Guard. And I'm actually technically still in the Guard, but I've turned in all my gear, I've done all my paperwork, I'm getting out, I'm done, I'm ready to focus on this, shooting and the firearms and the industry and that. And I'm traveling so much now, I really can't give the National Guard like 14 weekends a year,
It's a lot.
Yeah. So, so that's my career is the Marine Corps, active duty, Oklahoma Army National Guard, South Dakota National Guard. Did one deployment to Afghanistan. Was
that when you were in the Guard?
Yeah, that was 2011, 2012.
Okay.
It was with the Oklahoma Guard.
So, I'm sorry, does that seem odd that the National Guard deployed to Afghanistan?
No.
Like in the name, it's National Guard?
I think the original design of the National Guard was kind of like be that militia that they talk about in the Second Amendment. I think, I don't know. But no, National Guard units deploy all the time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, my unit, the 279, has deployed. They deployed to Katrina, Iraq once, Afghanistan twice, all in a decade. So, I mean, they deploy a lot. We have guys over in Afghanistan right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some guys from one of the other units in Oklahoma in Afghanistan right now doing missions. Yeah.
All right. So then you deployed to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 2011, 2012. It was the deadliest summer of the entire war, 2011. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but for some reason, the Taliban just seemed to really hate Oklahomans.
Oh, really?
My battalion, or our brigade, which was only 2 battalions, mine and our sister battalion, were responsible for more enemy engagements, more enemy KIAs than the entire theater combined during the bloodiest summer of the war. We were pretty busy. It was definitely interesting. My battalion lost 10 soldiers in the first couple months, including one of my very best friends and my original sniper partner, Chris Horton, and my former squad leader, Kirk Owen, and then 8 others. I lost them within a month of each other, so that was a little rough. That was kind of a tough month.
Mm-hmm.
But, so got through it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what else to say about that. I mean, it was definitely I can say in my whole life. So I'm 43 years old. In my whole life, you never really know. Man, am I on the right path?
Yeah.
Where is this going to go? But there was that chunk of time in my life, even though it was absolute hell, and getting shot at all the time, and your friends dying, and seeing the horrible things that you see in war. At no point for one instant did I ever doubt that I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And in fact, I even tried to extend for 3 more months to stay there longer with the unit that relieved us, and they wouldn't let us because we had just had such a rough deployment. So they didn't let anybody stay. So ran all those missions, got in multiple enemy engagements. I don't know, that we necessarily need to go into details, but
well,
drop bombs, shot bad guys. I mean, it is what it is,
Right. And that's fine. We don't need to get into details, but the part that I'm interested in is what you said. You felt like you were doing what you needed to do, what you were supposed to do.
Right.
So what's that feeling like? Like how did you know that this is my focus? This is where I need to be. This is what my calling is.
It's like I said earlier. I was serving something greater than myself.
Okay.
I was thinking about my family back home, my brother and his little boy and his wife and my mom and my dad and all the people that I cared about, and that I was keeping evil in evil's backyard rather than letting evil come into our backyard.
Right.
And, I mean, everybody has their own opinions on war, and I don't know. For me, it was the right thing. I was doing the right thing, and I never doubted it for a second.
So when they wouldn't let you re-up and stay for another 3 months, what was that feeling like?
It was disappointing. I felt like I had unfinished business. I mean, you spend that much time over there, and you're not the same person you were when you got there, especially after some of the experiences that we had. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I wanted to shoot more bad guys. That's kind of, some people are probably going to look at me differently now.
Right.
But it's just the reality of it. I still felt like I hadn't paid them back for the loss of my, Chris and Kirk.
Right.
And in hindsight now, it's been a few years, 6 years, I guess. I'm really glad I didn't get to stay, because, I was in a bad, mentally, a lot of guys came back. And I was actually better off than a lot of the guys, but I just felt like I needed some more payback.
Right.
But
when you came home, did you feel like you still had, like you said, you had unfinished business? Did you still feel that way when you got home, or was it just like, hey, back to grabbing the morning paper and eating my Cheerios?
When I got home, I immediately started calling other National Guard units, seeing if anybody was deploying.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I tried to get on another deployment like within a week.
Huh.
And nobody was deploying. Well, that's not true. There were units deploying, but they're like, dude, you just got home. You got to go through all this stuff. And the first time I went to the grocery store to get groceries, I walked in, I grabbed a cart. I made one loop around the outside kind of perimeter of the food area, put the cart back, got in my truck, and left. Didn't buy a single thing because it was just – I was trying to decide what food should I buy, and I just at that point it was like, it doesn't matter. This is a trivial decision to make. I was making decisions, a week ago or whatever that, life and death decisions, or just big important decisions that affect, could affect, who knows if I don't get the bad guy. I mean, who knows what he's going to do, you know? So that was a little rough. There was definitely a transition period of probably about a year, I guess, that took me a while to kind of, I didn't date or anything. Even some of my friends didn't even know I was back yet. So
did you pretty much internalize it? Did you see anyone talk about any of the things you were going through?
No. I was a little older. I was 36 when I went over there, so I was a little older than a lot of the guys that came home and really had some problems. Funny story, I got home in April, May, June, so it was the end of April. So 2 months later was the 4th of July, or 3 months later, and I wasn't really ready for it,
Right.
So I was overseas, and I had, an M4 with me everywhere I went, M4 and M9. So I kind of had a hard time letting go of that, and of course I got a gun safe full of guns because – I'm
You're an American.
Yeah. So I had my AR-15 next to my bed with a 30-round magazine in it, at all times. And I'd go out in the living room during the day because I didn't go back to work right away. And I'd take my AR-15 with me out there and set it in the living room and set it in the kitchen when I was cooking. Just
it's like habit.
Yeah. It just made me feel safe.
Right.
So one night, it was probably, I don't know, like June 30th or whatever, and a friend of mine was sleeping on my couch at the time. He was, whatever, it doesn't matter. He was sleeping on my couch at all of a sudden I get woke up at like 2 a.m. I hear pop, 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 pop. It sounds like gunfire.
Right.
And so I jump up in my boxers and grab my rifle and go running out on the front porch and like rack around in the chamber, and I'm hiding behind the pillars on my front porch. And my buddy comes out and he's like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. There's a gunfight going on out here. He's like, well, why are you running towards it? It's like, I don't know. That's what I'm supposed to do. So I went back inside, and as I was walking back in, I heard it again, pop. And I ducked down, and I looked up, and I saw a firework go off up in the sky. And I was like,
man.
Oh, forgot about that. And so I went back inside, unloaded my gun, and went back to bed. It was kind of funny. But that first 4th of July was pretty jumpy.
Yeah.
But it's better now. So go ahead.
No, so that hearing pops and having that reaction. What did you think like the next day when you woke up? Like,
I was a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
Not really embarrassed, but it was more just like, it's like that shit was funny, But I'm really glad that I didn't like shoot somebody or something.
Yeah.
No. It was, it is what it is. It's a funny story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing bad came of it, so whatever. Nobody called the cops on me, so
right.
That's good.
That's good. So then what, you said you didn't go back to work right away.
Right.
Well, when you finally did decide to go back to work, did you find, fulfillment?
No. So I'd been a police officer, and I was a reserve officer, and I went and worked one shift, and I was just like, God, this, I went out and, did a stop, and as a cop, you're always on edge because you just never know. This could be the stop, the one that makes it on the news. And after that one shift, I was just like, I am done. I'm tired of like the constant threat of violence. And so I turned in my badge and commission card, but my chief was like, man, I've been doing this thing where I like go like sit with these families that you're visiting with their kids that are going through a divorce, and you could be a visitation supervisor. And I was like, that does not sound cool at all. But what the hell? So I went and did one. And that was actually, it was cool. But, it wasn't fulfilling necessarily.
Yeah.
But it was cool because I got to set my own schedule, and I got paid cash and, whatever. But
Allegedly. Taxman might be listening.
Oh, yeah.
It was volunteer. We didn't get paid.
Yeah. I mean, I got paid in hugs.
There you go.
Yeah. But, no, so I guess we'll just go right into it. So my best friend, Chris Horton, or one of my best, Chris, who was killed over there, he was a competitive shooter. He had a bunch of sponsors, Black Bullets International, USSA. He had several. I think Magpul. He had a bunch. And he was a USPSA guy. And before we deployed, he drugged me out to a GSSF match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So we had gone to the range, and he's like, dude, you shoot pretty good. You should shoot competition. I was like, man, all those bullet golfers are a bunch of it's not tactical. I had this, the tactical Timmy mentality.
I understand.
But he's like, no, dude, really, you should come do it. I said, oh, okay. So I went and shot GSSF, and I got my butt kicked. But it was fun. And so then he took me to, like, the Pro-Am when what's his name? I can't think. Phil Strader was running it there in Tulsa.
Uh-huh.
And it was my first, like, real match. And I didn't know what to expect. And third stage, I broke the 180, got DQ'd. But I was mad, and I didn't really understand how it worked. And I told Phil, I was like, I want a refund, I didn't do anything unsafe. And he's like, listen, I understand. You didn't do anything unsafe, but you did break the 180. And I did, in hindsight, but I had my gun pointed down because that's what you do in, like, anyways, when you're on like a stack or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then I went to Afghanistan, and Chris and I had kind of had this pact, we're both going to buy STIs when we get back, and we're just going to tear up the competition circuit.
Nice.
And do all this stuff. And then when he was killed on September 9th, 2011, it was like, gosh dang it. So when I got back, I really got into competition shooting. It was as much to honor him as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I started out with IDPA. and this practical rifle match that we would shoot, which was basically IDPA but with rifles and pistols both mixed in, and that was fulfilling, and I really enjoyed it. And I did that for a few years. I don't know, I guess 2 or 3 years, I guess. And it was all just local stuff, and I was having a lot of fun. And but the practical rifle match, like literally every match I shot, I won.
Yeah.
I was like this, and I was shooting against rimfire guys and whatever, and I was wearing a plate carrier and all this stuff, just trying to make it more challenging. I was like, I kept thinking about 3-gun. I was like, I don't want to do the freaking shotgun.
Oh, really?
Don't want to do the shotgun. So then one day I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said, man, you need a goal. I said, all right, then I want to be nationally ranked in some sort of competitive shooting sport. But there's no such thing as the only thing that I really knew of was like 3-Gun Nation.
Right.
And so I got to looking at that, and I started watching a bunch of like Jesse Tischhauser videos and Taryn Butler videos and Jerry Mitchell videos, and I taught myself how to. So I went and bought a shotgun, and I taught myself how to quad load watching YouTube videos.
Nice.
Then I went, and I already knew how to quad load when I shot my first 3-gun match. And I went and shot one of Brian's matches there in Tulsa, Brian Corey. And I got DQ'd because I center punched one of those 4x10 pieces of steel at like 12 yards with a slug.
That's how my first major ended for me.
But it was a hell of a shot.
Oh yeah,
and it was like
mine went down.
It was like the last shot of the last stage of the day, and it was on like December 28th of 2014, I think. And literally like 3 days later, they changed that rule on the 1st of January. They changed that rule to where it's no longer a DQ, now it's just a penalty. But I didn't care because Brian was really cool, and he saved all my scores, and so he submitted, posted all the scores, showed me DQ'd, and then he posted a separate set of scores that showed where I would have finished had I not DQ'd since I shot the whole match, and out of 40-something shooters, I would have been like 17th.
Oh, cool.
I was like, oh, this is really cool, first match ever, and boy, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Then it was like 3-gun every weekend, and wounded veterans of Oklahoma approached me just a couple months in, and wanted me to represent them on the range, and so I was like, yeah, sure. And then that led to Rise Armament, and one thing led to another, and now here I am in Seattle sitting with you.
Nice.
3.5 years later.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was. So, I know we wanted to talk about kind of how competitive shooting helped me kind of recover from. So we'll have to back to the IDPA practical rifle.
Yeah, I want to ask you, like, what was it about the IDPA practical rifle that made you feel like, this is my thing, this is doing it for me?
So, like I said earlier, I was a sniper, so shooting was kind of my thing in the Army. I mean, pretty much every soldier, Marine, military person considers themselves to be a shooter.
Yes, I've noticed this.
Yes, and shooting is something that we respect and appreciate and understand.
Yeah, accuracy, and so I've thought a lot about this. I've had a lot of time behind the windshield, Garrett.
Yeah,
as you have as well.
Yep.
I've thought a lot about this, and I wonder if it goes back to, just maybe like our childhood, like watching Lone Ranger or something like that. Maybe it's that simple, but maybe it's more deep than that. Like for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, our accuracy has enabled us to eat, and putting food in front of our tribe has given us prestige, has given us mating opportunities, has allowed us to continue the lineage. I wonder if it goes like all the way back to being able to like throw a rock, at a mammoth or something. That's what I would do.
We should go hunt mammoth with rocks.
I'm down.
Yeah,
let's do a big ass rock.
Yeah. So my thought on it is, so a lot of guys get back and they get into something like that, like MMA. Something that
combat.
Yes, combat vets.
Simulates combat.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. MMA, competitive shooting, motocross, car racing, high adrenaline stuff.
Oh, I got you.
Because it's the closest thing you're gonna find to combat without actually doing it. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're looking for that adrenaline dump?
Well, and not only that, just that feeling of being a warrior.
Okay.
Like I feel like in this society, like, so throughout the ages, that warrior class has always been kind of at least respected, if not honored.
Yes.
In most societies, and that's not the case anymore. I mean, even in the military, and this is part of the reason why I'm getting out, even in the military, like, there are not a lot of soldiers that are true warriors. Like, they have that warrior spirit, that warrior mentality. And I've met a lot of people in 3-gun who've never served that are, you know? And so I think, like, for me, competitive shooting was a way to still be a warrior. And to kind of keep that edge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
To feel like I don't know if power is the right word, but to feel that
feel useful,
and just to be a warrior, basically. Because we're not tribes fighting each other for a chunk of land that has a herd of deer living on it.
Right.
You know?
But I still feel like we have that drive to do so. Right.
And that's why a lot of us compete. I mean, how many competitive shooters do you know aren't A-type personalities?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know. Well, and to take it back to where we started our story initially, TriggerCon, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people want to place like you can't be friends with Ben because Rise makes triggers and Hyperfire makes triggers, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that whole like warrior aspect of that, like business is war kind of thing. You know, we want to apply war and dominance to everything that we do. Like football that we watch on television is literally the allegory of the gladiators. It's our modern gladiators. You know,
absolutely,
we're drinking Bud Light instead of eating bread, right?
Yeah.
So our society, our humanity wants to apply war to everything.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Driving.
Yeah. For me, talking about like Garrett and Ben can't be friends, you know, because they both work for high-end trigger manufacturers, you know, whatever. But I don't feel like the war is between Garrett and Ben. The war is between us as the 2A lifestyle against the people that want to destroy us.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why I'm always like going to all these other manufacturers, and I'm always like at least trying to build a good rapport and shake their hand and just, you know, let them know that I respect them and appreciate them. You know, and hey, let's try to push each other, just like on the range. You know, I mean, at a match, you know, Ryan Reed is a great example. You know, do you know Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got just the greatest guy. Really like him.
He's a good dude.
We push each other. You know, he almost I think he's beat me every single time but once. You know, but I know if I was pushing him and my gun went down or whatever, he'd be like, "Hey, you want to borrow mine?"
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and I feel like in the industry, it's the same way.
Yes.
You know, I mean, yeah, we're all competing, but at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. You know, and that's to grow. And it's like we were talking about before the show started. Rather than growing my piece of pie, I want to grow the whole entire pie. You know, and so.
Yeah. But from an outsider perspective, they want to put that on you, right? Yeah. Because our monkey brains want to, we want a winner. You know, we want to see a fight, you know.
Right.
We want to see like the two biggest chimps go at it, you know.
Of course.
And that's like and that's what we're talking about with like you said, the warrior mindset. Like our society applies it to everything. You know. So 3-gun being your warrior outlet.
Right.
Or I guess practical shooting in general, because you started with IDPA.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about the camaraderie that you experience in the military, right?
Yep.
Do you find like a similar camaraderie on the range, like when you're at a match?
I think it's very close. I don't think it's quite as intense because just that shared experience of life and death isn't necessarily there.
Yeah, you're not necessarily in fight or flight all the time when you're setting stages or anything.
Right, but there's still a very strong camaraderie. Like, I mean, there's people that I've met shooting 3-gun that I know if I was passing through, I don't know, pick a city in the United States.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, this is Garrett Grover. Remember me? We shot together at this one match. Oh, yeah. Hey, you mind if I crash on your couch tonight? I don't think there's very many people that would say no.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And I know I wouldn't. I've opened or offered my door to many people. Hey, anytime you're cruising through Tulsa on your way to a match or whatever, and you need a place to stay, we got an extra bedroom. Mm-hmm. So I think that the camaraderie I think it's close. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's quite the same.
Sure. I'm sure nothing can quite replicate that experience, right?
Yeah, but it's about as close as you're going to get, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in my experience. I don't know.
And so then in making that transition, did you find that, the people that you're shooting with on your squad, I mean, we call them squads, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, did you find some sort of familiarity in that experience? Or maybe it helped you make that transition?
Well, yes. So familiarity. So like in the military, you've got your platoon. Mm-hmm. You're not going to necessarily like everybody in your platoon, but you respect them and you put your life on the line for them. But you always find that little core group of guys that it's like, okay, these are the guys that I go to the bar with, and these are the guys that, when I go out on a mission with, this is who I want to be with. And
those are the guys that reset.
Yeah. So in 3-gun, and I wouldn't say it's cliquish, but there's a little group of guys that you try to always want to squad with because they're your friends. Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they help push you, right?
Yeah, right. But there's been matches I've gone to where I didn't know a single person on the squad. And I got there, and by the end of the first stage, we were already talking shit to each other. So, yeah, it's just like the military in that aspect. I mean, the personalities are the same for sure. I mean, even among women, I shot a shotgun match earlier this year, and it was me and Daniel were the only two guys on the whole squad, and I didn't.
Daniel.
I can't think of his last name right now.
Where's he from?
Texas.
Jurassic?
No. Dang it. Where's my phone? I'll think of it here in a minute.
Okay.
Anyways, I don't know why I can't think of his last name right now. Probably because I've had too many monsters. It makes my memory go.
Too much caffeine.
Yeah. Anyways, and we were with a bunch of. I didn't know anybody, but it ended up being just so much fun. I don't know. It's just cool. It's hard to describe. I did know Tina Leora. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Tina. I can never pronounce her last name right. She knows that. So. But,
the match environment is interesting. Even if you don't know those people, like I've been on squads full of people I don't know. And I've been the really crappy shooter on the super squad too, which is also an interesting sort of experience, especially when you're new. It's very intimidating.
No.
But it's also been a big growth match for me personally. But on the second day of a 2-day match, midway through, like that we're clicking, we're moving, you're resetting that, I'm resetting this, and we're working well together. Feels really good. Giving each other a hard time feels really good. Helping each other with stage plans feels really good. And I often want to replicate that from the first stage on the first day when everyone's like afraid to talk to each other. It's like, I don't know if that guy's going to be cool. That guy, kind of smells funny, that sort of thing. And I wonder if that's why we get cliquish as 3-gunners, because like I know going in that I can have a good time shooting with Steve and Jim and Bob, so I want to squad with Steve and Jim and Bob because I want to replicate that second day atmosphere where we're having a good time and joking around and throwing clay pigeons at each other on the first day. Mm-hmm. So I think about that a lot. And I've been critical of several people for squadding together all the time. It's like, well, you never can get on that squad because, they all squad together. But it's because I'm jealous, I see like how much fun they're having and stuff. It's like, I want to be a part of that,
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting, the dynamic that comes from being on a squad. And if you're shooting inclement weather, then you kind of have like that sort of like we survived kind of thing,
Yeah.
When you're drying out at the end of the Sunday Sunday part of the match.
Yeah. So what I do when I get on a squad and I don't know anybody is I try to make a joke about myself like right off the bat. Like during the stage brief for the first stage, I'll try to like crack a joke and like elbow somebody that I don't even know and just be like, or make a comment about something real super smart assy. That sometimes it works. Most of the time it works. Sometimes I'll pick like the old guy and he'll be like, whatever,
Yeah, shut up, dude. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that quite often too, and a lot of times it falls flat. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a long weekend.
Or I'll just wait until everybody who shoots, on that first stage, I don't care how crappy they do. Man, you burned that thing down. Good job. Well done. How long you been shooting? And or that's another thing that I'll do just to try to break the ice and get a conversation going. And usually by the end of the first stage, or at least the end of the second stage, we're talking shit to each other. And, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's the fun part too, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that like siblings argue a lot, they fight a lot, but do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother.
You said brother.
Yeah.
Older, younger?
Younger.
Okay. Did you pick on him?
Oh gosh,
a lot.
That poor kid.
Now, if someone picked on him, what'd you do?
Nobody picked on him because they were scared too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part of it. When you, especially in, like you said, with all the Type A personalities, when you start like, it reminds me of like sled dogs, like nipping at each other, or some of that nature. And my brother and I were the same way. Like we fought a lot, but if anyone ever, and my brother is 2 years older than me, if anyone ever came around to pick on me, they had Jeff to deal with. So there's that sort of atmosphere as well. But I find it interesting, just as like a student of the human dynamic, watching squads happen and stuff. And so it's interesting to see your perspective coming from, something that has so much more meaning to it than, a score on a iPad.
Or more than just a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, fighting for something greater than yourself and life or death truly on the line.
Well, and I've taken that fighting for something greater than myself and kind of applied it to 3-gun, in that I feel like the 2A community, for lack of a better term, the gun lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, is under attack.
All the time.
I think anybody who listens to the show will agree with me.
Mm-hmm. And, for a lot of people, I get criticized for not talking about political topics on the show, but it's for the exact same reason that you just mentioned. Like, they all agree with me.
Yeah, there's no reason, because we all, we all agree.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, we're kind of serving our own cause that is greater than ourselves by shooting 3-gun and by getting out there and representing the 2A community and participating in it is kind of the same. It's a replace. It's the same concept. I mean, in my mind, I'm still defending the Constitution, especially the Second Amendment.
Sure.
I
look at it as a peaceful exercise of my Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's keeps me sharp and proficient in the function of my firearms and manipulation of my firearms, my accuracy, my marksmanship.
I had somebody ask me today, and it was actually one of the other Rise guys. It's like, do you think that? I mean, I know all these 3-gunners can shoot pretty well, but do you think like if there was a war that like somebody invaded us, that they would actually be pretty useful? Like, well, there's a lot more that goes into, like fighting than just shooting. But I can tell you most of them can shoot. Like Dakota Overland can shoot better than any other soldier in my unit. So as far as the shooting portion of it, they'd be pretty useful, obviously.
Yeah. You're going to have to tell them where to shoot.
There's a lot more
which direction.
Teamwork and tactics and all that sort of thing that goes into it. But yeah. If for guys, and this is kind of, I don't know if it's off topic necessarily, but for guys who are like currently serving as a police officer or military, and I'm a firearms instructor as well, and I encourage all my students to shoot competition. Like, well, why? I mean, that'll teach you bad habits. That'll get you killed. Like, horse shit. If you already have, like, a good tactical mind and you understand, like, not to stand in the fatal funnel, not to stand in a port, and blaze away like an idiot at a bunch of targets. You can take things that you learn in competition, weapons manipulations, shooting under pressure. Other than real combat, there is no greater pressure than standing at the line, making ready, knowing that Jerry Michalik is watching you, and knowing that there's prizes on the line. That is the most stressful thing that I can think of, other than when the targets shoot back. So for guys who are still serving, competitive shooting is a great way to perform your weapons manipulations, your draw, whatever, shooting, rapid, accurate fire, target transitions, all the stuff that goes into shooting, while getting as close to replicating that stressful environment as you can. I've been to a bunch of schools and shooting schools and training, and nothing even comes close to stressing me out.
Really?
As much as knowing that Jerry Michalik is watching me, and knowing that I just spent however many dollars in gas, however many dollars for a hotel, and I kind of would like to pull something cool off the prize table. Not that prizes is why we do it, by any means. But it does help. It helps cover some of the expenses and stuff.
And it's a small symbol of your achievement, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and and it's just that A-type personality. I want to do good.
Yeah.
And
and that goes back to what we were talking about. It's like you want to, win the war and bring home the treasure, right?
And I really one of my goals for the next 12 months is I want to beat Dylan easily at a major match.
Yeah.
I'm taking him down. Dylan and I talk just about every day. He's been a great mentor for me.
Yeah.
And as far as shooting competition, and so I got to give him a lot of shit.
Dylan's great, man. He's helped me out with a ton of things in my game, and with the show as well. Mm-hmm. He's always been a really great resource for me too. So he may come off like a huge smartass, and he is. Don't get me wrong, he
total.
is. But he's also got a very giving personality as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've heard multiple people comment on, man, a lot of guys, I'll send them an email and I'll never hear back. But him, I can just send him a PM on Facebook or whatever, and he'll get back with me right away with whatever question.
Mm-hmm.
Got
a lot of time on his hands, unfortunately.
Yeah. I guess that comes from being self-employed.
Yeah. Well, so, we have a lot of people that listen to the show that don't actually shoot 3-gun.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are going to shoot someday, and I like to encourage people to actually get out and shoot a match. So if you can talk to like yourself at the time when you got out of the military and when you came back from combat.
Yeah, right.
Since you're just now getting out.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant.
If you can talk to yourself, like what kind of advice would you give yourself to help make that transition back to civilian life?
The funny answer is, don't be scared of the shotgun, and don't buy the shotgun you bought initially. Go buy your Mark Roth M2. Buy it with all your money that you made in Afghanistan. No, that's the funny answer. The serious answer is, so if I could go back and talk to my 2012 self, find something to stay focused on, sooner. And that was, and I didn't even really touch on this earlier, I don't think, not that I remember, but shooting 3-gun was also I had a goal in mind. I started to talk about it, and then I didn't really go anywhere with it. Military people tend to be goal oriented.
Yes.
And so that
objectives, right?
Right.
Accomplish the objective.
Yep. And so
move on to the next mission.
It was a goal for me. I think I told you I'd set a goal for myself to kind of earn some sort of like national ranking in a shooting sport or whatever. And so I picked 3-gun because 3-Gun Nation at that time, was doing all that stuff, and I think they still are. But anyways, so if I could go back and talk to myself, my 2012 self, as far as shooting goes, I would just say stay focused. Don't lose sight of your goal. Work hard. It's not going to happen overnight. I know you already think you're a badass because you've done all this stuff, but get ready to get your ass kicked by some 15-year-old girls, because it's going to happen. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't really have time to prepare for that question.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
You know.
Well, so let's change it up a bit. If someone's out there, in a similar situation to what you were, right? Just come back from combat, maybe listen to the podcast because they think, oh, 3-gun might be for me. What kind of advice would you give there?
Find somebody in your local area who shoots, or not even local. 3-gunners are so eager to grow the sport, that they'll help anybody, and they're just good people, So it is a great way to continue to maintain that edge. And if you've just got back from combat and that's something that you're looking for, maybe you feel that void that I felt, you feel lost, you don't know, you're making decisions now that don't mean anything. Well, when you're at a 3-gun match, I mean, we're playing a game with guns. Every decision you make while you're shooting that match means something, because if you point that muzzle in the wrong direction or pull the trigger at the wrong time, I mean, the reality is, it could be a fatal mistake, and there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with being a competitive shooter. And I think that's why juniors in the sport tend to be a little bit better kids than, but anyways, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. And one we should do sometime, because we've definitely, you and I have definitely experienced, interactions with juniors that are far and away above interactions you experience with juniors outside of the shooting sports.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely. So definitely, if it's something that you're thinking about, just do it. Just come out and just do it. Bring your Mini 14 and your 870 and your revolver, whatever you got, your 1911, your 45, and just do it and have fun and don't worry about winning. And that is one bit of advice that I would definitely give now that I think about it. When I got out there, I wanted to win my first match.
Right.
And don't expect to win. Just go to have fun and learn and make new friends. And like, I go to matches now and I don't even really care if I win. I just want to go hang out with my friends and have fun. Yeah. Of course, that's not entirely true. I do want to win. But, if I don't, it's okay.
Yeah, and I always say,
now, if Nikki was here right now, she'd be like, "You're so full of shit. All you do is stare at those scores for 3 days
and stewing them."
Yeah, I'd be like, "Man, if I had just not got that one penalty."
Yeah, if I hadn't dropped that quad load. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. Yeah. Well, Garrett, I think what you said there is a great way to end the show. Get out there and shoot. I appreciate you sharing your story, man. Being vulnerable is difficult. I've had this conversation with several other people that, mentioned to me that, 3-gun helped them make a transition. And you're the first person that said, yes, I'll be happy to talk about that. So thank you for sharing that story with the audience. It is difficult to put yourself out there like that. And, as a big man and, type A personality, like you said, admit that we have faults. Or that we struggled with something. So thanks for being willing to share the story, and wish you all the best of luck with Rise. Thanks. And with kicking Dylan's ass on the range, man.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, this has been great, dude. I've enjoyed getting to know you over the last few weeks here, man, and thanks for being on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Hey, before you take off, be sure to check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 218 for things that we discussed in the podcast, including Rise Armament. This podcast is brought to you by Armalite. The original Armalite rifles put the AR in AR-15. The rifles themselves come with 1 8 twist barrels, match barrels, 18-inch or 13.5-inch with a 15-inch or 12.5-inch handguard, Timney trigger, Luth AR stock, adjustable gas system, tunable comp, a patented tunable comp. This thing's ready to go right out of the box for a 3-gun. With no additional modifications other than putting on a nice optic. I myself use a Vortex Viper PST 1-6 when I'm shooting TAC Ops or their Spitfire when I'm shooting limited. Check them out at armalite.com. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
Finish, unload, show clear.